what the Word of God says. Now, this coronavirus. Industries it has or is or will be affecting. Airline, cruise, tourism, hotel, auto, oil and gas, food, entertainment. I read something today. It's so bad that they're still going to have people come in for March, quote unquote, madness, but they're calling it March sadness. Because they're not allowing actual viewers to come. The players can come, but it's gonna be pretty empty in there. So you're talking major concerts, major sports. Even the Olympics is in jeopardy now of being canceled. And I'm like, God can get your attention so many ways. Woo! He can shut it down. Who would have thought? You couldn't have thought of this in a million years. And I'm wondering if the saints are praying right now. Because this looks a lot like 9/11. When a lot of stuff got shut down. Stuff got shut down. People came to church. Is this of God? Yes, it's of God. He wasn't caught off guard. He told Joseph then this is what's going to happen. There were people talking about this years before. So let me enlighten you. You're going to start hearing words like recession. Yes, sir. You're going to start hearing words such as depression. Yep. You're going to start hearing things about layoffs. You're going to start hearing things about bailouts and bail-ins. You're going to hear about banks being shut down. But I want you to know the God back then is the same God right now. If you be in Christ, he'll be with you. Says, verse 50, and unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, he had made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And I thought about how big a blessing is it when what God give you make you forget everything that was wrong in your past. What a blessing. How big is the blessing going to be? Bishop has ministered and prophesied to many of us about the things that are going to happen, and we're just going and going. And just like back then where they would say, well, it ain't happened this year. It didn't happen last year. It didn't happen before this. So it's probably not going to happen. They said that. But God does not operate on man's time. Who cares what you think about the situation? What did God say about it? God said he's going to blow up your business. Hold on. God said you're going to have a baby. Hold on. That was a song we sang, brother. Hold on. I'll hold on. How long? Till you bless me. That's the time limit. Till you bless me. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God had caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. You do realize that when the plagues were hitting Egypt, the people of God were safe. You do realize that. You do realize as the coronavirus is hitting this land, God's people are safe. You need to go ahead and kill your lamb. Put some blood on your doorpost. I was reading something, and, you know, these people got quite an imagination. But they were talking about that, about doors on painting lamb's blood over the doorpost. And you know, people are so ignorant nowadays. Some folk will say, well, you know, Lord, I'm a vegan. I don't believe in killing animals. Somebody else will say, do you know how hard it is to get lamb's blood out of the wood? This is the mindset of certain people. Instead of doing what God said when he said to do it. Just go ahead and kill your lamb. Make your mark. You're covered. Said you were fruitful in the land of my affliction. So I mentioned that there's going to be words such as recession and depression. The difference between the two is really the amount of hardship, how long the hardship is going to be. But regardless of that, there are people that are going to be millionaires when this all ends. There are people who are going to be billionaires when all of this ends. It happens every time. The people that end up being blessed financially are those who saw it afar off and positioned themselves accordingly. If you want to be rich in God, you position yourself accordingly. According to what? According to what the words say. Do not fret these arrows that are going to be coming by. Job loss. Don't matter. God still got a ram in the bush. Sickness. God still got a ram in the bush. Famine. God still has a ram in the bush. You're going to be fruitful in this time. Now, with that being said, people are going to see that. And some people are going to be like, how are you but not I? And that's why they're going to hate you. Pastor Barnes preached some time ago, and he said this several times since then, but he says people think that they're okay because their bank account is swole. They count godliness as gain as godliness. When the Bible says quite the opposite. You are not all right just because your 401k says. Comma. In depression, stuff get wiped out. Out. I was reading this to my wife earlier. I said, I want you to listen to this. And it was an article about the oil and gas industry. Now, it was dated about 9 months ago. So this was last year. And it was talking about all of the bankruptcies that are going on and that were going on at that time in the oil and gas industry. Billions of dollars gone down the drain. And in the second paragraph, it said one of the biggest bankruptcies was filed by Weatherford International. Anybody knows anything about Weatherford, that was the company I was with when I first came here. That was the company I worked for when I first came here. 2012, 2014, I was working for Weatherford. Huge, 50,000 employees. Billions of dollars. And they filed bankruptcy last year. So my wife asked me something. She said, well, do you think AT&T is safe? No. No. Some of these banks is going down. And the banks are some of the biggest players in the economy. AT&T has done something. Most people, if you don't work for them or if you're not paying attention, you don't know. So they bought DirecTV several years ago. That was about $45 billion. They didn't have that in cash, so they had to pay for that with what we all do, credit. They just also bought Time Warner's content, which is CNN, HBO, that type of stuff. That's $45 billion. Also paid for with credit. Right now, AT&T is one of the most indebted U.S. companies right now, over $125 billion worth. And even as much as they get through cell phones and people paying for this, that, and the other, that's still a huge amount of debt. And what we're finding out is that when you can't pay the debt, that's when you go bankrupt. So quietly it's kept, they're selling off all kinds of assets right now. They've been doing that for the past couple of years because they see what's happening. And people thinking there's still plenty of time. They think it's this. We in the first 7 years. We're in the second 7 years. We're starting that right now. And people not seeing it. People think their 401k is big. We good. They think because Trump is in office, we're good. This ain't got nothing to do with Trump. Bishop said judgment is sweeping across this land. How do you think it's going to happen? How do you think you're going to get people's attention? The book of Joel talks about how the economy was just shot. Said the farmer was embarrassed. He's supposed to be a supplier of goods and food, but he can't produce because the land ain't producing. The farmer don't produce, the land, all of this is in God's hands.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You betting on your crop, you betting on this, you better bet on God.
All right. Yeah. All right.
So, right now, earthquakes in diverse places, locust plague. First time I looked into that, they were talking about billions of locusts eating up all kinds of crops in Africa right now. And now that's transcended to trillions. Well, how come it's so fast? It's because they reproduce so fast. I look back and I remember the 2018 Midwest flooding. And then there was a 2019 flooding. In 100-year floods, where we're talking about in Nebraska alone, 1 million head of cattle were killed. And people forget about it. Because news is going so fast that you forget about these things are happening and they have ripple effects. My mom said, hey, she wanted me to barbecue. All right, cool. So she came to the store with me. I like baby back ribs. They came out well. Moving on. But I noticed something. I'm used to baby back ribs being like $7, $8. They double that. How come? Then I'm thinking, why are they double? Oh, swine fever. Millions, there's this disease that's hitting swine all over the world. And they've been having to kill them, kind of like mad cow disease. They've been having to kill them. So the price of everything else that's left with pork is actually up right now. This is real. And people don't see it. But I'm here to encourage you that the same God back then, that took care of you back then, that gave you food back then, that gave you manna back then, same God right now. and 53. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph has said, and the dearth was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. There was bread. That was why? Because Joseph prepared. When you get a word from God, position yourself accordingly. Abraham and Sarah prophesied. It was prophesied that they were going to have a son. But it don't really matter that it was prophesied if they wasn't doing the work to get the son. You understand what I'm saying? There's faith without works is still dead. So even though there's bread in the land, you still got to go get it. Still got jobs. Still got this, still got that, you still get it. And you have to position yourself accordingly. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread, and Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph, what he said to you, do. So now the famine's here. The dearth is here. We got stock market going all kind of ways. The Friday I left to go to Houston for my grandmother's funeral, the stock market was down 300 points. I showed my wife. She said, is that good? No, that's not good. And all of last week, it's like all hell broke loose. It's like I'm talking about, 300 points is really minuscule when you're talking about how high the stock market is. But we're talking about now going from 300 to 800, 1,000, 2,000 swings in one day. Today it was down 1,400. Yesterday it was up 1,100. The day before that it was down 2,000. All over the place. And you're going to put your trust in that? I think not. And so now you're not seeing this, but I guarantee you we got all kind of meetings going on right now. How are we going to fix this? Because they see it as an urgency right now. Because they're getting ready to lose pretty much everything. And I wonder, do we think about our soul that way? Our meeting is a secret place. Am I in alignment with your word? Am I doing what you said for me to do? This is urgent. I don't want to lose everything. What profit a man to gain the whole world? Lose my soul. So they had a young, no, they weren't young. People who, because their account was up, their 401k was up, the stock market was up, they said Trump is in, Trump is going to keep it going, and this, that, and the other. And they've forgotten what happened in 2008. Many people don't even, that was only a few short years ago, but we've forgotten the lessons. We didn't prepare, and so now there's a whirlwind going on, and people don't know what to do. They're stuck. And it gets us to the point of do not put your trust in a market. Don't put your trust in that. The God that showed Joseph what was going to happen, that's the God you need to talk to.
Yes, sir.
And the famine was all over the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold them to the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. It is my opinion that out of the words you're going to hear, they don't want to tell you is the word depression. Much harder, much deeper, much prolonged. If you remember 2008, we were actually on our way there. And the thing they did to stop that then, they don't have those tools now.
That's right. Yes, sir.
It's almost as if God has given them enough rope to hang themselves with.
No way out.
So they're gonna. I'm telling you now, and I'm not against President Trump because, quite frankly, anybody in there, it doesn't matter at this point. Because we as Americans believe we are bigger than God as a whole, not individually, but as a whole. When you can lay out lies upon lies upon lies and publish it as truth, and nobody says anything. You want me to defy my own eyes and say that that's a man when it's a woman. You want me to believe that it's okay for all genders to go to the same bathroom. That's what you want me to believe.